So I get this question asked quite often on my channel, that how do I know that I've shifted, and how do I know that I've successfully applied the law of assumption? And I have a story regarding that from Neville Goddard himself. But knowing is a completely subjective thing. But if this happens to you, know that you have done it, and there's nothing to do after that. Which is the story when Neville Goddard was trying to get discharged, honorably discharged from army. He was drafted in the World War, and he didn't want to have any part in it. So he decided that he will manifest getting out of the army honorably. So he applied for it, and his officer, his superior officer, rejected it. And then he applied the law of assumption. And what he did was, while sleeping in the barracks, he imagined himself sleeping in his New York apartment and feeling the reality of his apartment, the warmth of his bed, and he would even walk around his apartment and touch the familiar things to get to involve the sensory vividness. And here comes the sign. After about, I believe, a week of doing the state akin to sleep imaginal acts, Neville Goddard saw a dream where in the room that he was sleeping, underneath the door, a paper slipped, which was his application, and somebody scratched the word rejected from the application and wrote accepted. So the dream confirmed that Neville Goddard has successfully shifted into his desired reality. And also somebody in the dream, supposedly God, but there is nothing but God in this world, so everything is just one. So that was Neville Goddard's subconscious mind telling him that which I have done, do nothing. It was just a symbol. It doesn't have to appear exactly the same for you, because it comes from our own subconscious mind. Signs are not necessary. But since a lot of people ask, I had to explain. And recently, one of my channel members, just today, wrote a comment that she finally did it. She finally felt the reality of her desired reality in state akin to sleep. And she was able to feel, she slipped into that reality. And it was a similar experience where she bordered on sleep, probably even fell asleep. And in this dreamlike state, she finally felt the reality of her desire. And I replied to her that now it is done. And awesome work. So once you feel the reality of your desire, once you have truly felt the sensory vividness, it's not necessary. Again, I want to emphasize that feeling the reality of your desire is not necessary. Sensory vividness I'm talking about. Sometimes just assuming and feeling happy about something, grateful about something, or excited about something is enough. There are so many case studies, and even my personal life, there's so many manifestations that just came by just me assuming. But Neville Goddard's method is by far the most powerful, because once you truly do it, there is no ifs and buts after that. as the voice in Neville Goddard's dream said, that which I have done, now do nothing. So his subconscious mind was basically telling him that you have done your job, you have felt the reality of your desired reality, and now leave it up to me, leave everything up to me, and you just relax. And Neville Goddard explained something like he woke up very happy that day, and he shaved, and he was already in the mood that he's about to go to his New York apartment with his wife and his daughter. So he was already in that state. He was thinking from the end already. But is that necessary? Absolutely not. You don't have to wake up in a dream and be given a sign, or you don't have to, as a lot of people talk about the birds before landing, like some signs and some Signs, we create the signs. So our subconscious mind gives us the sign. And if sign comes, just enjoy it. But if it doesn't, that doesn't mean that it's not coming. Ultimately, knowing is an internal process. How do you know something? Well, for that, we must talk about who does the manifesting. Who is manifesting this world? It's not you. It's not your ego self. But we are lost in the ego self. It's our ego that wants to know if it's done or not. It's the paranoid, anxious self that is always asking questions, never really sure of something. And this is why state akin to sleep is absolutely powerful, because just as I explained that one of my channel members yesterday wrote a comment that she finally did it. Well, the key point in her entire comment was that she fell into a state of slumber. Basically, her body fell asleep, and the ego self fell asleep. And all that was left was the real self, who is our real self. She finally felt her real self, and her real self could effortlessly feel the reality of her imaginal act. And she finally did it. So the key point was, once the doubter, the ego self, the one who's always anxious, once this version of us fell asleep, the real self did everything effortlessly, because it's natural for God to imagine and feel the reality of anything. It's a natural state of the inner man. As Neville Goddard says, that the inner man is absolute and complete imagination. So it is natural for him or it, or whatever you want to call it, our higher self, to absolutely get into an imaginal scene. As Neville says, enter into a state. So it can enter into a state and occupy it effortlessly. It is only our egoic self which talks us out of everything. This is why state akin to sleep is absolutely by far the most powerful technique that you could ever learn, because it puts you out of the doubt mind, puts that mind to sleep, and the real self retains awareness. That is why it is important to not fall asleep immediately. At least repeat your scene multiple times when you're in that state, and then you can fall asleep. And once you do that, then it is done. Either you will wake up in a dream and you will be given a sign, like a symbol, or you could see signs in the world, or you would just feel that it is done. Another sign, when you've really imagined something in the state akin to sleep successfully, is that you lose the hunger for it. Exactly like when you're really hungry and finally you get this big roasted chicken and you eat it, and after that you no longer feel hungry. So once you really imagine the reality of what you want in your imaginal act, it is real at that moment for your spiritual self. This is why I said that who is really manifesting is not your ego, is the real self within, and that self is imagination only, is all imagination. So to this self, that imaginal act is real, literally. So when you do it, when you persist in your act, eventually there comes a time when you just feel that it is real, that you're in that scene. And once you do that and you fall asleep to it, you will wake up with no longer feeling the hunger for your desire. You would know that it is done. And as long as you don't talk yourself out of it, it's gonna come. And maybe you can't even talk yourself out of it, because as Neville says, that once you have done it, you lose the hunger for it. So of course you lose the fear for it as well, that it's coming or not. And it just comes after that, and you won't be surprised when it comes, because the hunger or the excitement beforehand is different after the fulfillment. and there would be little to no doubt. But if you engage your ego and keep digging, like where it is, is it coming, when it's gonna come, how it's gonna come, then you will, as the Bible, Neville Goddard says, that Satan is doubt in the Bible. So it's our own, the doubter within. So the doubter is a master manipulator and it's a master of debating and hitting you right where it hurts and it will make you doubtful. And in the last live stream with my members Q&A session, I talked about once again about the flat that I have bought in Russia and my entire journey. And how did I know that my imaginal act was successful? I knew it by persisting and deciding that it is mine. So in that case, I had anxiousness, I had created some drama within me, and I got a question that how do you deal with the frustration when something is not coming? So I explained that I did not suppress the frustration. I felt everything, emotions, but I said that it is mine, and I repeated an affirmation that I am with my vision and my vision is complete. So my vision will take me through completion and the steps that are necessary. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it is done. So it was more of a decision that I persisted in, and finally it became a knowing. It became a knowing, and I just started to believe. I started to live in the flat in my mind. And I also applied the technique of sleeping in the bed of my new flat, not in the flat that I was renting. So I applied that, just like Neville Goddard was sleeping in the army barracks, but he was imagining that he was sleeping in his New York apartment with his wife and his daughter. So it's all about intention and deciding what you want and then going after it with persistence. And so signs are not necessary. I did not see any tangible or strong sign that is gonna happen, but I knew that it is done because I realized that who is the real self, who is imagining everything, who is gonna get it done. It's not gonna be me. It's never us. We are under the delusion that our human self can do something. Not really, because all things are possible to God, and all things are done by God. So what we can do is we can exercise our freedom of choice, our free will, to decide what we want to experience. And once we do that, we can apply some processes, but ultimately it's about living in the end and then just entering into that state and being there, and then it happens. So knowing automatically is the result of persistence. I guess that's the best way to say it. This is why Neville Goddard says, know definitely what you want, that you must know what you want. Once you know what you want, you will not give up on it and you will persist effortlessly. And I was explaining in the Q&A that all the desires that I really, really wanted, I have them. I made a video a year ago about now that I said that 90% of what I wrote and what I really wanted has come to fruition. So what we really want, we persist in it. We decide that it is ours and we get it. So, but the double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So my advice to everybody is to realize the doubter within, the manipulator that talks us out of everything that we want, and just listen to it, but don't really accept anything it says, and just persist in your end and you will have it. Just like one of the members finally, after applying the law and stayed akin to sleep, she finally felt the reality. And now I'm confident, I trust, and I have faith that it is done for her, and it will come to in the perfect time. So this is it for this video. Until next time.